I'm Tanicka Williams, and I'm a domestic violence survivor. I was with somebody that I thought loved me, but obviously they didn't, because love isn't supposed to hurt. Love isn't supposed to beat you. Love isn't supposed to bruise you. Love isn't supposed to black your eye or make you feel ashamed of yourself. Love is patient, love is kind, love is gentle. Love doesn't keep account of wrongdoing, and that's exactly what he did. He kept an account of wrongdoing. Anything that he thought that I might have said the wrong way, anything he thought that I might have did the wrong way, anything that he thought was disrespectful to him. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know what I was doing was wrong. I thought that I was someone's spouse. I thought that I was someone's support system. I thought that I was someone's encouragement, but obviously I wasn't enough for him. So he used his fists to show me that he was in control and I wasn't. He not only used his fists on me, but he used his fists against my children. And because I loved him, I stayed. Because I loved him, I kept it a secret. Because I loved him, I didn't tell anybody. I told my children that we were safe. I told my children that he does love them and that he does care about them. But I was only doing that because he was my husband. And because he was my husband, I felt as though that was what I needed to do as his wife. Things got really, really bad. Or I should say, they went from bad to worse once he went away on a drug charge because he was gone out of the house. So he assumed the worst in me. He assumed that I was completely disrespecting him, that I was completely disrespecting myself. So because of that, he didn't trust me. I was called out of my name. I was belittled. I was berated. I was disrespected to the point to where I felt ashamed of myself. I didn't see any win. I didn't see any upside to the situation that I was in. But because he was my husband and because I loved him, I stayed. I didn't know when he was going to get out. I just knew that I was in a bad situation and I didn't know how I was going to get out. So eventually he got out. And then definitely things took a turn for the worse. He came home and he was angry because he assumed that I was doing things behind his back with other people. He assumed that I was allowing myself to disrespect our marriage, our home, to degrade myself of what a wife was supposed to be like, what a wife was supposed to be doing. And there was no telling him that I wasn't. He didn't want to hear that I was faithful. He didn't want to hear that I wasn't doing anything. He didn't want to hear anything positive. He was just upset and angry, not necessarily at me, and I'm starting to realize that, but because of the situation that he was in, he was always frustrated. So he took that out on me. He took that out on my children. But once again, because he was my husband and I loved him, I stayed. I don't know why I really stayed, because if you're in a situation that's not healthy, you should probably get out. And I probably should have left the first time he hit me, which was 2 months after we got married. But I thought things was going to turn around. Little did I know, they were only going to get worse. Not just for me, but for my children. But once again, because he was my husband, I loved him, so I stayed. He was always angry. He was always mad, not necessarily at me or my children, but once again, the situation that he was in. So he used his fist to tell me how angry he was, which it's not love. Love doesn't hurt. It's not supposed to hurt. So once again, it's no excuse, but because he was my husband, I stayed. And it wasn't until I had enough of being beat mistreated, disrespected, belittled, berated, where I had him arrested because I didn't know what else to do. So I had him arrested, and he got arrested and he left the house and he was gone for a while. Then I found out that ICE picked him up. So he was in immigration. But still, because I didn't know the situation, I was fearful for not only my life, but for the lives of my children. I didn't know if he was going to get out. I didn't know if he did get out, if he was going to come and find me. So I had to do what I needed to do for the sake of my children, and I had to get out. I had to get away because I didn't know if he was going to come find me. I didn't know if he was going to send someone for me, to hurt my children. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I knew I had to get out of that situation. So I did. My children and I, we packed up and we left like thieves in the night. And we went to a shelter and we were there for 4 months before we found a place. And once we found that place, it wasn't until we found that place that someone actually introduced me to Pastor Reels, which I'm actually grateful for because she is just truly, truly a blessing, a lifesaver, an angel in disguise. I met her actually via phone, and I was at work and I spoke to her and we prayed. I wasn't on break. I didn't have time to get away, but I'm guessing it was the spirit that said, check your phone. And I checked my phone and it was a voicemail from her. And I called her back and we prayed. And she told me that someone had told her about me, which I'm ever so grateful for, because she was just a breath of fresh air. I don't know where I would be without her, without Sarah's Daughters organization, without so many of the wonderful, wonderful women that are in this organization that help. I don't want to call us victims because we made it out, but help those trying to get out, those who have made it out, those survivors, which are us. And I'm ever so grateful for Pastor Reels, for Sister Jones, for the entire organization. Pastor Reels, she is just mind-blowing. We had a great conversation. She came to my house when I first moved into my apartment. She did so much. She bought me curtains. We had a couch debacle, but we laughed about it. We talked about it, and she is just an awesome, awesome spirit, and I love her, and I know for a fact that she is a blessing, and God didn't put her in my life for just happenstance. He put her in my life for a reason, and I'm ever so grateful to be a part of this organization, and I'm ever so grateful for Sarah's Daughters.